Well, I have only just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, I can't refuse it. I did not seek it, I did not choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give account if I abuse it. Just a tiny little minute, but our eternities are wrapped up in it. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. I'm excited about being here, and I'm excited that you're here. I want to thank WSA 9 and the DC Library System, but particularly the folks here at the Martin Luther King Jr. Library for making this happen, and for Deborah Ward and George, for all of those who have been so impactful. Well, we are here tonight because I have a different message than most people know me by. Most people know me because of my self-help books. The books that have been around for over 30 years. It only takes a minute to change your life. A setback is a setup for a comeback. Turn setbacks into greenbacks. An attitude of excellence. And the book I wrote with my bride, Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. By the way, we wrote a book about marriage, and we're newlyweds. See, we're newlyweds. June 28th, we celebrated 40 years of marriage. Now, people always say, how you say you're a newlywed? Because I say I still got the fire for her. I told her, I said I would crawl over a broken glass to get to that woman. I told her one day, I said, if you leave me, I'm coming with you. Anyway, most people around the world know me for my books about self-help. And yet, this is a new arena for me to write about and talk about. This arena of wealth. This wealth arena. Now, many of you know I'm on Sirius XM Radio. This is my 20th season on Sirius XM Radio, 20 years on XM. And over those years, I've had the opportunity to interview some of the greatest wealth creators of our time. I've interviewed people, and by the way, the XM show is the #1 self-help show in the country now, so I'm very proud of that. And so the XM show is doing very well. You can get it on Sirius XM channel 141. It airs on Saturdays at 4 o'clock, then it replays 6 on Tuesday and 6 on Thursday. And I've had the honor to interview some of the greatest wealth creators of our time. People like David Rubenstein, Shirley Ralph, Tony Dungy, John Maxwell, Les Brown, James Brown from CBS Sports, Damon John, Bishop Jakes, Bill Marriott, Chris Gardner, who Will Smith played in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness, Judge Greg Mathis, Gladys Knight. The list goes on and on. Ted Leonsis, Bob Johnson, Sheila Johnson, Mark Randolph, co-founder of Netflix. One wealth creator after another. Kathy Hughes, just one after another. And I've been doing this for 20 years. And I thought I knew what wealth was. And then a couple years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that proverbial light bulb went off in my head. Now, by the way, if you don't get my show on XM, you can get my show on podcast. So if you don't have XM, you can go to your podcast, your favorite podcast platform, and look for the Willie Jolly Wealthy Ways show. Well, as I said, I've been interviewing all of these wealth creators, and one day, I realized I didn't know what wealth was. I was interviewing Bob Johnson, America's first black billionaire. And he said something in the interview that I didn't understand. Now, I'm an educated man. I got an earned doctorate. But I didn't understand what he was saying. He said, as he was telling about what his goals and dreams was, he said, I want to create more money, more businesses where I can make money in bed. I said to myself, what the heck he talking about? How do you make money in bed? Because see, I came from a philosophy that you didn't need to sleep. You know, many times motivational speakers say, don't sleep, grind. Don't sleep, stay up late, get up early, grind. Can't make no money in bed. And the only people who make money in bed are people of the night. So I said, I didn't understand what he was saying. I showed at that moment my ignorance. I sometimes say I was just stupid, but I really was ignorant. I couldn't get what he was saying. I couldn't understand. How do you make money in bed? I literally could not understand it. And then one day, that proverbial light bulb went off above my head while I was interviewing some of the people, and I said, oh, I finally get what Bob was trying to tell me. That there's a profound difference between being rich and being wealthy. And most people, at least I did not know what it was. And I said, well, initially I said to myself, maybe I'm the only one who don't know. I'm the only one who missed the memo. So as I went around the country speaking for corporations and conventions, I would ask people in the audience, what is rich to you? Number one answer was always $1 million. You got $1 million, you're rich. I said, okay, if $1 million is rich, then what's wealthy? They'll stop, they'll think, they'll ponder, they'll look up in the air and they'll say, well, I guess it's 5 million, 10 million, a billion. I realized they didn't know either. And then I went back to all those billionaires I had interviewed, and I called them and I said, I got a theory, and I want to run it by you. And I ran my theory by them, the difference between being rich and wealthy, and they said, that's it. You got it. You got it. And you have the platform. You got radio and television and books. Write a book. And I started working on this book. And for the last few years, I've been working on the book. The book is entitled Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. Now, here's the thing. When I talked to these people who I went around the country and asked them what was rich to them, I realized that it's hard to hit what you don't know. Look, if I gave you all a baseball, told y'all to hit the wall closest to you, could you do it? Yeah, you just throw the ball at the wall. Now, if I gave you that same baseball one more time, I put a blindfold over your eyes and I turned you around and around and around till you didn't know which direction you were pointing in, would it still be so easy to hit that same wall? No, because you can't hit what you can't see, and you can't hit what you don't know. So if you don't know what wealth is, how will you ever hit it? That's when this thing started getting good to me. And so I wrote this book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. And the book came out in January, and it's just exploding. It's just literally exploding because so many people are saying, I didn't know either. Let me give you, some people have said this book is similar to the book Think and Grow Rich. How many of you have read Think and Grow Rich? How many have never read Think and Grow Rich? Okay, good. Think and Grow Rich was written in the 1930s. A guy named Napoleon Hill interviewed the wealth creators of his day. Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, DuPont, Wanamaker. He interviewed the greatest wealth creators of his day, and he compiled all the information. He put it in a book, and the book became the #1 self-help book in history. It has sold more books than any other self-help book ever. And it has made more millionaires than any other book other than the Bible. Well, as I've been doing this book tour for the last couple months, I've had one interviewer after another on television or radio who's read my book, who've said the same thing to me. We think this book of yours is the sequel to Think and Grow Rich. Because see, Napoleon Hill interviewed the greatest wealth creators of his day and put it together in a book. For 20 years, you've been interviewing the greatest wealth creators of this day, and you put it in a book. And so the book is now out, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, and the impact it's had is so profound. Let me tell you one of the stories I talk about when people don't know the difference between being rich and wealthy. I was in Cleveland, Ohio, just a couple months ago. My friend, super lawyer had brought in a lot of people, and we were doing a number of events, and so we did the downtown Martin Luther King Library in Cleveland, which is it's like this library, it's beautiful. And Saturday was open, and Sunday I had to speak at a big church. So Saturday, this magazine publisher with Code M Magazine, which is a great magazine for men, he took me and my wife to lunch. While we're in this nice restaurant, one of the star players from the Cleveland Browns football franchise was walking through the restaurant with his entourage. The magazine publisher called out to him and said, hey, come over here, I want you to meet somebody. He came over and he said, this is Dr. Willie Jolly. He teaches people how to become wealthy. The young football player said, I'm already wealthy, but I guess I can get more wealth. Give me your card. I gave him my card. He and his entourage left. And when he left, I said to the magazine publisher, I said, I don't know his finances, but I can bet you dimes to dollars that he thinks he's rich. I think he's wealthy. He's really rich. And rich is good. Okay, rich is good, but wealthy is better. See, that young man will drive up to the stadium on Sundays. He'll put on his pads, he'll go out on the field, he'll run up and down the field, he'll catch the ball, he'll sweat, they'll tackle him, and at the end of the game, he leaves, and he hopefully has at least a net worth of $1 million. That's the hope. But on the other hand, the owner never ran up and down the field that day. He didn't get tackled. He didn't sweat. He had his favorite drink, his favorite food, and when the game was over, he left there with a net worth of over $1 billion. And when that young man is no longer productive or gets hurt, that owner is going to replace him with another young man who can do what he does. See, rich is good. Wealthy is so much better. So, what's the difference? Y'all want to take a note on this, because this is in the book Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill did something that no one else had done up until that time. He defined success. Because people would talk about success. In fact, when I was at my last job 40 years ago, working for the D.C. public school system, we had a debate one day, what was success? And someone said, well, in my opinion, success is this. And someone else said, in my opinion, success is that. And everybody had an opinion. And there was no definitive answer. I had not read Think and Grow Rich at that point. But once I read Think and Grow Rich, I got the definitive answer that Napoleon Hill set in the pages of the book. He said, success is the ongoing realization of a worthy goal or idea. Success is the ongoing realization of a worthy goal or idea. Well, let me tell you what, advance that for me, would you please? Thank you. Yeah, so in this book, I say that rich, here you're going to know what this is. Rich is the result of money you earn from what you do. And the better you are at doing it, the more money you can earn. So rich is a result of money you earn from what you do. Wealthy is a result of money you generate from what you own. Let me say it again. Rich is the result of money you earn from what you do, typically during the day. Wealthy is money you generate from what you own while you sleep. Finally, what Bob Johnson had tried to tell me came true. I finally got it. Now I'm talking about, I wish I could tell y'all that I am a financial expert, but I'm not. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm a really good listener. And when I'd interview these people, I took copious notes. Because, see, I've made just about every bad financial decision you can make. Almost every one. When my wife and I were newlywed, she told me she was pregnant. We got a baby on the way. When the baby gets here, and we had a little old hoopty car, we went down to Hampton, Virginia, to her father's home to visit. And he was a pastor, and he loved cars, and he loved this new baby. He said, you got to have a better car for that than for my grandson. So he called the Volvo dealer, because that was a safe car, right? And the guy came and got us and took us to the dealership. And we didn't have much money. We weren't making much money. And he said, we can put you in a car. I didn't even ask the interest rate. I didn't ask any of that. I said, you can get me in a new car? He said, yeah, we'll sign on the dotted line. We bought a car, a Volvo, with 72 months of payments. 72 months of payment. We bought that car 3 times. You hear what I'm saying? That was a bad financial decision, but we didn't know any better. And most people make financial decisions based on their background. See, when I was growing up, my mama, my grandmother, my father told us, go to school, get a good education, get you a good job, and save your money. Anybody else was told that? Go to school, get a good education. They never said the word invest, ever. Why? Now, there's a reason why. Because, see, my mother came and family came through the Great Depression. My mother was a teenager when the stock market crashed of 1929. She was a young teen. Her father had taken his life savings and putting them in the stock market, and he lost everything in the stock market crash. So they never trusted the stock market again. Now, here's the thing. Back then, all stock certificates were paper. You got the paper. So what he did when the stock market crashed, he took the paper and he sold whatever it was for pennies on the dollar. If he had known, he didn't know about stock, to hold on. Just hold on. That stock market would always come back. It always comes back. But he didn't know. So he lost all his savings. So they never trusted the stock market again. And so I never heard about stocks growing up in my life. In our house, we never heard about it. We had heard about working hard, saving your money, but never about stocks and investing. And so today, I want to talk to you about the lessons I've learned from this book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. A couple of lessons that I think are important. Number one, we know that rich is money you earn from what you do. Wealthy is money you earn from what you own. Many people, when I say that, and they'll call in on radio stations, they'll say, well, I don't make a lot of money. How can I own anything? And I say, in the book, I give you example after example after example of people who didn't make a lot of money, but who created wealth, like Mary Ellen Pleasant. In the 1900s, Mary Ellen Pleasant was a domestic worker. She cleaned people's homes and washed their clothes. She never made more than $6,000 a year. But when she died, she had a net worth of $2.7 million. Or how about the legal secretary who, back in the 1960s, was being paid $45,000 a year. Now, back then, there were no internet stock purchases. So the lawyers would come out to her and say, hey, call my broker. Here's the stock I want him to place for me today. And another lawyer would come out. And one day she said to the lawyers, what is a stock? And they told her over lunch what a stock was. And she said she would talk to them over lunch every day. And they would educate her about stocks and investing. And so she started taking part of her $45,000 a year salary. And when they would buy 100 shares of stock, she'd buy one. And she'd buy another one. Okay, I'll buy. Well, she kept doing that. when she retired from that law firm, she had a portfolio of over $8 million. Stocks are an incredible way to grow, but it's not the only way. So in the book, I give one lesson after another about how to think. This book is about mindset called Wealth Starts in Your Mind. So the book has two focus areas, and I want y'all to get this. The number one focus area is all the people who want to be wealthy but don't know how to get there. I teach you what I've been taught. Again, I say I'm not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial planner, but I'm a really good listener. I've been taught by some of the greatest wealth creators, just as Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich was taught by the people to get rich. I'm teaching you how to get wealthy. So that's first. All the people who want to be wealthy but don't know how to get there. But here's where we're getting the biggest number of people who are running to get the book. They're buying 7, 10. One lady bought 30 copies. It's all the people who have worked hard all their lives, scrimped, saved, sacrificed to create a nest egg, but they're concerned that children will not be able to maintain it. Or, like the man who read the book and came to me, he said, I need 7 copies. Because, see, my greatest fear, Dr. Jolly, is my children will not treat my money like I treated it. And they'll go through in months what it took me decades and decades and decades to grow. He said, so I've made a deal. I've made a decision that before I put one of my children in my will, they must read your book. Wow. When he said that, I said, wow. This is why. Well, look, and how many of you got children? Okay. How many got more than one child? Now, you don't have to put on your hand on the next question. How many of y'all got more than one child and one of them just not good with money? Okay? They're not good with money. That you paid for them to go to school. You worked hard for them to go to school. They went to school. They got a job. But every month or every other month, they come up a little short on their rent or on their car note. Mama, I'm a little short. Can you help me out? I needed one lady. I was doing a book signing at First Baptist Church of Glenarden at the ministry center with Dr. Jazz a few weeks ago. And people were lined up. And a lady came up to me and said, you know my son. I said, who's your son? She said, oh, you don't know him by name, but you called him out when you talked about him coming up every Monday. He's my son. You called him out. Every Monday, he coming up, Mama, can you give me a little money? I'm a little short this month. Mama, she said, I've probably given him $100,000 in little bits. She said, what's the secret? What's the answer? How do I get him to stop? I said, get the book. Get the book. Now, here's what you do, though. And I want everybody to hear what you do. You get the book for those people in your life. Many parents have bought all their children a book. And then you say the same thing to each one of them. You say, I heard Dr. Willie Jolly speak, and I got his book, and I thought it was incredible, but I want your opinion. Stroke their ego. Because if you say you need this book, they'll never read it. But if you tell them, I want your opinion, they'll read it. And if they read it, they'll change. Okay? So, I think we're almost time for Allison. Is that correct? All right. Well, so I've got more answers, and we're going to do question and answer. This is a phenomenal book. I will tell you one more thing. I'm very excited. We've got a review in the book just the other day. And the reviewer said, I love books that come straight to a subject, straight to the point. And that's exactly what Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better does. This easy-to-read book with short chapters and valuable additional resources is about your money. The book stays focused. It draws a clear line and answers an important question. Is there a difference between being rich and being wealthy? The answer is a resounding yes, and knowing the difference is crucial for your future. This book is going to change people's lives. Not just their lives, their children's lives. By not just their children's lives, but their grandchildren's lives. This is a book that every household is going to want to know and have to. So my beautiful friend, Allison Seymour, give her a round of applause. I love you, though. I almost love her as much as her husband, Mark, who's my dear friend, too. We've been friends for many years. Okay.
Dr. Willie Jolly.
All right, is that your mic on? Is your mic on?
Okay, I think it's
All right.
on now.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear it again for Dr. Willie Jolly.
Thank you.
Fascinating. I am actually in the process of reading Napoleon Hill's book.
Great.
Now, my dad was a student of metaphysics. He talked about great authors like Hill for all my life, but I had just started reading it, and I think it led me to this moment right now.
It's
with you.
Divine timing.
Yeah, that he talked about that too.
Divine timing, yep.
So let's get right into it. You
Okay.
talk about 5 money mindsets.
Yes.
Can we get into that?
Yes, there are 5 money mindsets I talk about in the book. And everybody in this room fits into one of those mindsets. Again, money and wealth starts in your mind. The lowest level mindset is the one-day mindset. We all know somebody or might not know him personally, but we see a guy every day, same place, with a cardboard box on the corner saying, give me enough money for today. And every day they repeat that process. Then you got the 30-day mindset. The 30-day mindset is what we call the fixed income mindset, where whether you're on retirement, Social Security, SNAP, welfare, whatever it is, you think month to month. Then you get the one-year mindset. And that's the people who think year to year. Did I get a cost of living raise this year? Did I make more money this year than last year? Then you get the decade mindset, which we often see with entertainers and athletes. A baseball player will get a 10-year contract to play baseball for $100 million. And for 10 years, he's balling. He got 8 Bentleys, 4 Rolls Royces, 3 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, 4 homes. Now, he only drive 1 car at a time, by the way. But anyway, he is balling at the table. He got the red velvet shoes. He got table service. He balling. But after 10 years, if that contract is not renewed or he gets hurt and he does not modify his lifestyle, he's going to be broke. That's why over 70% of professional athletes are broke 5 years after retirement. But then you get the wealth mindset. The wealth mindset is the generation to generation to generation mindset. The Bible says that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children's grandchildren. So my goal with this book is to get each level to go up 1 level. See, it's too big a jump for this guy who's living day to day to jump immediately to the wealth mindset. But if I can get that person to go up to the 30-day, and I can get the 30-day folks to get up to the 1 year, and the 1 year folks to get up to the 10-year, and the 10-year folks to get up to the wealth generation, then I've done my job. Those are the 5 money mindsets.
You know, it is so true. As I approach a big old birthday coming up next week, a big old 60 birthday, you start to think about, right? Oh, thank you.
You look good. She makes 60 look good, don't she?
But Dr. Jolly, it's so true. Now we start to think about retirement.
Yes.
Uh-oh, what happened here? Where
Right.
is my savings here? So you're absolutely right. If you can think 1 step ahead,
Yes.
that's that money mindset. But you also talk about the 5 different types of wealth.
Yeah, there are 5 types of wealth also. And everybody should know what they are. Now, when we say wealth, you immediately automatically think of financial, because that's the most prevalent. But the most important wealth is health. Health wealth. Most important wealth is health. Look, what good is all the money if you're sick? You know, it is reported that Steve Jobs, who was a billionaire, he said on his deathbed, I'll give all the money away if I could get more time. My friend Les Brown says it like this. I think this is a brilliant quote. He says, the person who is sick only has one dream: to get well, while the person who is well has 1,000 dreams. That is why you got to focus on your health. Focus on taking care of your health. The third wealth is relationship wealth. It's not just where you're going, who's going with you? And who's going to be with you at the end? Because everybody got an end. And look, I found out nobody get out of life alive. So you want to find out where you're going, but also who's going with you and who will be with you at the end. The fourth one is reputational wealth. What do people say about you when you're not around? And what kind of opportunities are available because people think highly of you? I say in my book, An Attitude of Excellence, that your reputation, your personal brand, as we now call it brand, but it's really your reputation, it paves the path for you in front of you. So just always strive to be excellent because somebody's watching and somebody's waiting for you to become available. So financial, health, relationship, reputational, and the fifth wealth is intellectual capital wealth. What do you know that people are willing to pay you for? Everybody's got some gift, some skill. I often say it's not if you are smart, it's how are you smart. Everybody got some genius, but most people never discover their genius. And so I'm encouraging you to use what you got. In fact, I've been saying on the interviews as I've gone around the country, use what you know to make more dough. Am I right about it? Use that, get that information in your mind and say to people, you know what? That's how you do it. You've got something good. You might have a information that for designing or organizing or cooking that someone else doesn't know how to do. Use it. Those are the 5 types of wealth, and they will make your life better.
That Willie's phone went off. That was somebody trying to give you a check.
That's right. That's right.
They were trying to give him a check right now. Okay. You know, a lot of people, we talk about it all the time. There have been all these layoffs.
Yeah.
You know, Doge came through, cleared out so many jobs.
Yep.
A lot of pathways, especially for African-American women,
Yep.
have been stopped, right?
Yep.
So if you are struggling today, and then you see this book, Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better, and you're just trying to make it
Yes.
to the next, you know, to pay that mortgage or their rent, where do you even start if you are, you know, from surviving to thriving?
Yeah, where do you start? With changing your thinking. You have to change your thinking because you have to make decisions every day about your wealth. Every day I have to make a decision about my wealth. That means what am I going to shop? Where am I going to shop? What am I going to buy? What is important and what I can say no to? I was on an interview this morning. I was on the Carl Nelson show this morning. Great show, by the way. Carl Nelson, fantastic. And they asked the question, someone called and asked the question, well, what happens if you don't have a lot of money, you need to get started, but you're living up to your limit? And I shared a story that I was in Walmart one night. And I saw a well-known media person in the Walmart, and I said, hey, what are you doing here in D.C.? And he said, I'm doing DoorDash. That's what I'm doing. Because I have realized I needed more revenue. And so I could watch television or I could get busy to create more revenue so I can invest the revenue. I have set a goal. Folks, we got to have, look here, in the book I talk about the fact that there are 8 streams of income that everybody should know about. I'm not recommending one over the other, but you need to know about these 8 streams. And everybody should have at least 2. That was proven to us in Doge, because people only had 1 stream of income. And if you lose that stream, you jacked up. So what you want to do is start learning that I got to have more than 1 stream of income. And I can do that with tools that they're all over the place. One more thing I talked about in the book, and this is not on the sheet of the questions, it is having an immigrant attitude. Did you know that somebody from another country comes to America and becomes millionaires 5 times faster than someone born here? Why is that? Because they come from a country where they might have made $15 a day to America where they can make $15 an hour and they get busy. Did you know that the majority of hotels in America are owned by the Patel family? They came to America, they had little money, they pooled their money, they bought a little crappy motor hotel. What they did was, it might have had 14 rooms, they kept 2 of those rooms for themselves, they lived in those 2 rooms, and they did the servicing. They cleaned the rooms, they changed the bed, they did everything, and they were able to undercut the hotel up the street that needed to pay the labor. Then after they got that one hotel or motel successful, they bought another little motel, and they bought another little motel, and another little motel, and before you knew it, they were buying hotels. And then before you knew it, they were buying huge hotels because they were willing to do the grunt work. In the book, I talk about Cathy Hughes, and I interviewed Cathy Hughes. She was turned down by 40 banks when she wanted to start Radio One. 40 banks. She finally got somebody to give her enough money to buy WOL. She had to move it from Wisconsin Avenue to 4th and 8th Street in the hood. Am I right about it, Ibrahim? 4th and 8th. She had to make a decision. Do I pay my mortgage? No, first she had to make a decision. Do I pay my car note or pay my staff? She decided to pay the staff. Car got repossessed. A few months later, she said, I still don't have enough money. I gotta make another decision. Do I pay my mortgage or do I pay my staff? She paid the staff. House got foreclosed. She slept in the radio station on a sleeping bag for 2 years, eating on a hot plate, taking a shower 3 times a week at her friend's house. But today we know her as the owner of the largest Black-owned media network in the country, in the world. Folks, it's going to take some struggle. It's going to take tough decisions, but it's possible. And that's what I want y'all to dream crazy dreams. I want you to start dreaming about the big dollars, the possibilities. 4 steps of money I want you to be pursuing, your goals. I want you to pursue a goal first to gross $1 million in 1 year. Second one, I want you to net $1 million in a year. The third one I want you to do is invest $1 million in 1 year. And the fourth one, I want you to be willing to give $1 million in a year.
Okay, but say you started late.
Yep.
You don't know where to start.
Yep.
You're trying to get wealthy.
Yep.
How in the world do you start it?
Okay, first thing you do is education. I want y'all to write this down. There's a new, I got to look at his, because he sent it to me today, and there's a new company that teaches people how to do stocks. And I am so impressed. He's in the book. His name is J.R. Fenwick. Some of you on Carl Nelson Show have heard him. And J.R. Fenwick has a new company. If you will go to newwaytomakemoney.com, newwaytomakemoney.com. Just go there.
Wait a minute. Did you write that down?
You got that one down? He is a stock education company. He's the first person I know who teaches people how to invest in stocks. So you don't have to listen to your cousin Boo-Boo say, I got a hot stop for you. Okay? He teaches you how to, so new way to make money, and every week he has a course. Here's he got like checklists. Here are the things you should check. Here's the thing, if they don't check all those boxes, you don't invest in it. You only invest in the stocks that check the box. It's amazing, and I'm just blown away by it. I am blown away by it. And my skeptical wife, she don't trust nobody. She said everybody a crook. That's what she said. She not only heard him, because I did his kickoff January, the first Saturday in January, I did the kickoff for his company. And he said, would you come speak? I had written about him in my book. I said, sure, I'll come support you. I want to help you. He said, I can't afford your big fee. I said, my gift to you, because you have been so good to me. Well, and Deborah's got cards for anybody who has questions that you can get a card, and then you can get it and write it down. She'll give it to Allison to ask. So I went to this thing with my wife, and we're going to sign books at the end of the thing. My wife is sitting there, she's looking. Now, I know she's a skeptic. She don't trust nobody. End of the thing, she said, that was very impressive. I'm going to tune into his Tuesday night class and see if I'm going to really put him through the ringer. Not only did she go through the Tuesday night class multiple times, she eventually signed up for his class. And then she signed up for the opportunities, and she's getting checks. I said, I like that. I like the way you making checks. All right. So, but it's about education. So where do you start, Allison?
Where do you start?
You start by education first. Read the book. And number 2, the next thing you do, you get you a planner, a financial advisor, or a financial planner. You invest in a financial planner who's legitimate, who's certified, and you get advice from them. I am not a financial planner. I don't tell people what to invest in. I just tell them that there are 3 legs to wealth. Write this one down. First is income. You got to have income. The more income, the better. There's a story in the book about the man who was fishing on the pier, and he had a pole in the water. A younger guy comes and puts a pole in the water and puts a brick on it. Then he goes away and comes back with another pole in the water and puts another brick on it. He does that 8 times. At the end of the day, the man with 1 pole had 1 fish. The guy with the 8 poles had 8 fish. The more revenue streams, the better. So I'm encouraging you to have multiple streams of income. So first is you got to have income. Next, you got to live below your means. And that means some of these cable channels, you don't watch them, cut them out. Don't look at them. Don't pay for them. There's stuff that you pay for that you don't need to. I'm not telling you which ones are, but I make my coffee at home. Okay? I get my coffee on discount when it's on sale, and I buy bunches of bags of it. I put it in the freezer. Come on, want me to say that again? You got to choose your poison. But I chose that I'm going to minimize that and use that margin to invest. So first is income, then investment, and the third thing you got to have is insurance. And we as a community are underinsured or uninsured. And you got to have insurance to protect the asset, because you might get sick. You got to have health insurance. You might have a car accident. You got to have car insurance. You might have a need for long-term care. All of these things seem like mites, but they are worth it when you get sick. And you don't have to attack your nest egg to take care of that crisis.
And we know how expensive healthcare is.
Healthcare, and it's hard.
Right, and that's one of the ways that generational wealth is sort of stopped in its tracks, because Mark and I have 3 daughters. We want our great-grands to still be comfortable. So you talk about generational wealth. Let's talk about it for a minute here. What really is it? What don't we know about?
Because we talk about generational wealth. Here's what we say in our community. I got a barbershop, I got a beauty shop, I got a real estate company, I got a lawn conservator, I got my own business, and I'm working on generational wealth. And what they're really working on is money to go to the next generation. It never gets to the 3rd generation. What typically happens, Big Mama worked hard to buy a house in D.C. She had an insurance policy and she had a little cash. She dies. The cash evaporates. They use the insurance to pay for her funeral and have a nice repast with fried chicken, collard greens, and some potato salad. But then they only got left at the house. And then one of the family members say, I want my piece. And makes everybody sell the house to get their piece. The asset is gone. and everybody starts again at zero. Or as a lady said to me earlier over there, she said what they do is they sell the house, they get a Lexus, and the Lexus, they buy a brand new Lexus, and they buy some red bottom shoes, and they happy for a little while, but they have no asset. I'm gonna tell you what real generational wealth is. Here is the story in the book. I interviewed the president of the Dale Carnegie Institute, and I asked him, what's your business model? He said, franchise business. I said, okay, how many franchises you got? Thousands. He told me the number, thousands around the world. I said, what's the franchise fee? He told me the number. I calculated the fee by the number of franchises. I said, whoa, that's millions and millions of dollars coming in every year. I said, where can I buy some stock? He said, you can't. I said, why not? It's a private company. I said, what corporation owns the company? He says, no corporation owns the company. Well, I said, who owns it? He said, the family. And then I asked him a question that blew my mind. I said, how long have they owned it? 110 years. For 110 years, they've been getting money into that family, millions of dollars. Now, what's the secret? Not just the fact that they have the company, that's the first step. The second step is just as important. You got to teach your children how not to kill the golden goose. We got to educate our children on how money works and why you must protect that asset with everything you have so it can get to the fifth generation.
And that's why these kids need these books.
They need these books.
Okay. What can they learn when they pick it up? I love the story that you told.
Yes.
People come and buy the books for your adult children, probably.
That's right.
What's the impact?
Okay, impact. My granddaughter, my grandson's back here. He just came in. My granddaughter, his older sister, is 30 years old. She is a tech lady in Silicon Valley. Makes over $100,000 a year. Doing really well. She came in the fall to visit me for my birthday. I gave her a copy of the book. I said, read the book. She said, okay. About a month later, she called and said, Pop, I just finished reading the book. I'm motivated. And I need to talk to you. I got something I got to share with you that you're not going to like. I said, what is it? She said, I make $100,000, but I'm up to my eyeballs in debt. I'm downtown San Jose in a luxury apartment, $3,000 a month. I got a nice car, and I've got credit card debt up to my eyeballs because on my weekends, my friends and I go to Hawaii. We go to these junkets, we go on excursions. I'm up to my eyeballs in debt, and I need to make a hard choice. So here's what I decided, Pop. I'm moving out of my $3,000 apartment, and I'm gonna live in my car for the next 3 months. I said, what? She said, I'm gonna live in my car. I can park my car in my business office parking lot. It's secure. I live in a safe area. I'll drive to the gym in the morning, I'll clean up, wash up, shower, and then I'll go to work. I can do that for 3 months, and I can take that money, that's $9,000, and start paying off my debt. I said, baby, I don't like that. That's not safe. Let me give you another option. Move out of the $3,000 apartment. Get a less expensive apartment. Take that margin and attack that credit card debt. That's first. Number two, max out your 401k. Take full advantage of any money they're giving you. And number three, get a second job. Fixing computers, make more money, get more revenue. If you do those three things, you'll be fine. That was 6 months ago. She called me a week or so ago and said, Pop, I'm just about out of debt. And I did everything you told me to do. She got motivated. This book motivated that child to be willing to live in her car. You got some children who you know need to read this book. Get the book for your kids, for your grandkids. As I said, people are buying 7, 8, 10 copies because they know they got to protect that asset they done worked so hard for over their lifetime.
Now, you said you're not a financial advisor. You said that a couple of times. Maybe you ought to be.
I
don't know. Maybe you should be.
I was on a radio show, Allison, with one of the top financial advisors, a black woman in New York City, and she said, Dr. Jolly, what I like about you is you talk about mindset, right, and I talk about how to execute that mindset. So that's a good win-win. My friend Perry Johnson here, he's one of the top. If you ever need somebody to help you with your Medicare, he's the best one. He takes care of my Medicare.
You raise your hand for it?
Raise your hand.
Okay.
All right. What plan to get on? What one works for me? You're going to need Medicare. They're going to need it soon.
In like 2 years.
Yeah, right. You're going to need it. And you're going to want it. He take care of me. When his sister-in-law got sick and was in Sibley Hospital for 3 weeks, she left and paid a bill of $100 because he put in the right plan. You got to have people who can help you maximize. Okay, next
Absolutely.
question.
Should we do some audience questions
let's take
before
some
we wrap it up?
questions.
Okay. So somebody had a question about, and we're going to hear you sing before we say goodnight.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you why I'm asking you that. The question is, how did you make the leap from a jazz singer to where you are today, this transition to this mindset?
Oh, thank you. I was a nightclub singer. You've all heard my voice on Pizza Hut, making it great. We work well together. News 4 and you. BET, Black Entertainment TV. And the one everybody in D.C. knows. It's happening. Iverson, it's happening. Iverson Mall, the happening place. So I sang jingles during the day, but I made most of my money at nightclubs. And I became the #1 nightclub singer in D.C., won the Whammy Award, Washington Area Music Association, 5 times in a row, best jazz singer, best entertainer. Went to the nightclub one night, they said, we've made a change. There's a new thing called a karaoke machine. We're gonna get at a shot. I said, but what about my bills? I realized that night nobody care about your bills, but you and the people you owe. Am I right about it?
Yes.
I was devastated, but somebody gave me that book, Think and Grow Rich. And somebody gave me a cassette tape that said in 5 years you'll be the same person you are today except for 2 things. The people you meet who inspire you and the books you read that empower you. I started listening to motivational audios. I started reading books, and it changed my thinking. It's like someone went in here and refigured my brain. And I started becoming a student of success and self-help. And a few years later, I started speaking. I took a job with the school system, started speaking as part of my job, and I found what I was supposed to do with my life. And that was 30 years ago. And one of my friends from the hood, I grew up in Petworth, he said to me one day, because he was still on the corner where we used to hang out, he said, Willie Jolly, you was a dummy in school like me. How'd you get smart? And I said, I started reading, and you can do the same. And I gave him Think and Grow Rich and said, read this book. It'll change your life. And he started reading it.
Let's talk about that for a second before we get back to this. How do you feel about that comparison? That is an awesome comparison to be called this part 2 of Think and Grow Rich.
When the first person said it, it took the air out of me. This book is the sequel to Think and Grow Rich. Oh my goodness. That's such an honor. And then when I heard 2 or 3 or 4 times, then I said, maybe they're seeing what I sing. You know, there's an old saying that says, it's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. And it takes somebody outside the frame to see it. And when enough people say the same thing over and over again, you got to start listening. I said, okay, this might be the sequel. Because rich is good. Think and Grow Rich. Rich is good. But wealth is so much better.
All right, here's the next question from our friends here. And this is real, and I think it's also, when you talked about you have that house, happened in our family. Let's be completely transparent. Happened in my family, right? Did it not? Okay, you have a home. Great, this thing is appreciated in value. This is a home that our parents had, right? But at the end of the day, you can't keep the home, which we know real estate is also a way to build generational wealth.
Yep.
So you lose that. So an audience member wants to know if you have any advice for dealing with family or friends who at best will be resentful when you read this book and you understand and unlock the keys. Basically, I added it that way when they said when you achieve your financial goals, and the resentful at the least and at the most will sabotage you and demonstrate a total lack of support for you. So what's the advice for that, dealing with that?
You know what? You're going to have negative people everywhere you go, every direction. And I like to say, when you're trying to grow your dream, you're going to have some negative voices who are going to try and cut you off at the knees. But you stay positive. You fill your mind up with the pure, the powerful, and the positive. Every morning I wake up, I have a routine. I get up, and the first thing when my eyes open, I look at the ceiling and I say, thank you. I verbally say thank you out loud. Thank you, God, for another day. I go to the bathroom, I come back, I pray. I fall on my knees, because Oprah said, God hear better when you're on your knees, okay? I fall on my knees, I say thank you, and protect my children and my grandchildren, but put a hedge around them. Keep them from hurt, harm, and danger, God. That's what my big goal. And then bless me to be a blessing, and let me make an impact, because I know wherever there's an impact, income follows. So I do that, and then I work out. I get some sort of exercise to get my endorphins going. I do an exercise every day because my brother died at 48 years old of a heart attack. So I knew I had to stay busy. And finally, I go to work and I get my team. And I want y'all to repeat after me what I'm going to say to my team every morning. I am healthy. I am healthy.
I'm healthy.
I am grateful.
I'm grateful.
Because I am healthy.
Because I am healthy.
From the top of my head.
From the top of my head.
To the bottom of my feet.
To the bottom of my feet.
I am healthy.
I am healthy.
Through and through.
Through and through.
And I am wealthy.
And I am wealthy.
I am happy.
I am happy.
And I am whole.
And I am whole.
I feel terrific.
I feel terrific.
I am blessed and highly favored.
I'm blessed and highly favored.
This is the day.
This is the day.
That the Lord has made.
That the Lord has made.
And I will rejoice.
And I will rejoice.
And be glad in it.
And be glad in it.
And I pray.
And I pray.
Send prosperity today. Money's coming my way.
Money's coming my way.
Today.
Today.
And I'm going to do all I can.
I will do all I can.
To make it come this way.
Make it come this way.
Amen.
Amen.
We do that every day. And we all over the country. We all over the place. And we get on Zoom. We do that chant every morning as we say we're going to win. Because you got to have a mindset that I'm going to win. So I hope that answers your question.
I hope it did too. We have one more from the audience, unless there's another submitted. I'm going to start with the second question this person wrote first. What advice would you give someone who wants to write a book like yours to help others but is only 24 years old?
I say start writing. You know, wisdom doesn't always come when you're old. There's some old fools, but there's some young, wise people. And so start writing. Start writing what your heart says. Just every day write. I didn't know how to write a book. My first book, every morning I just get up and start writing. And I just kept writing. And I didn't know what I was saying, but I kept writing. Then I had my wife edit it. And she'd take out my bad words and my misspellings and all of that, because my friend Les Brown said, spelling don't count. So, and I wrote the book, and it became a national bestseller. I was in my early 30s. I didn't know nothing. Write. Just do it. And dream big. Folks, I cannot tell you how important. In my book, It Only Takes a Minute to Change Your Life. And I also put in my book, Turn Setbacks and Greenbacks. I tell the story about a hot summer day in 1944 in Atlanta, Georgia. And sweltering day on this campus of Morehouse College. There's a knock on the door of the president, Dr. Benjamin Mays. And he opens the door and says, come in. In the door comes a man and a teenage boy. Dr. Mays jumps to his feet to grab the hand of the man, Martin Luther King Sr., Daddy King. He says, Dr. Mays, I know you're busy. I came to introduce you to my son. We call him ML, but his real name is Martin Luther King Jr. He's 15 years old. He's going to college here in the fall. He's a bright boy. 15 going to college. He's never given me a stitch of trouble, but he's missing one thing. And I need a big favor. No, I don't need room and board. It's bigger than that. No, I don't need tuition. It's bigger than that. Can you teach my boy how to dream big dreams? Can you teach my boy how to dream impossible dreams? And Dr. Mays gave young ML a piece and said, read this every day and it'll change your life. And he read it every day and it changed his life. And one day I got hold of it and I started reading it every day and it changed my life. It simply reads, it must be borne in mind that the tragedy of life does not lie in not reaching your goals. No. The tragedy lies in not having a goal to reach for. It is not a calamity to die with your dreams unfulfilled, but it is a calamity not to dream. It is not a disaster to be unable to capture your ideals, but it is a disaster to have no ideals to capture. It is not a disgrace not to reach the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. It's not failure, it's low aim. That's sin. You got to dream big, folks. Whatever you do, when you leave here today, you just go, I don't care how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to dream big. I'm just going to go, I'm going out. Don't let your age determine it. Don't let your financial situation, I'm just dreaming big. I'm going all in.
Lastly, and Deborah, I'm looking at you for the cues in the back, so keep on going. Okay. The second part of the first part to that question, because I wanted to make sure we got to it. Basically, in a nutshell, what separates your book from others is the question, because this aspiring author wants to know how to, get into the self-motivation, self-help space without stepping on other toes.
That's a great question. The gentleman's raising his hand. Are you good now? Okay. We all good? Okay. Okay, we have time. We're going. Okay, let me finish this answer. What separates this book from all other books is it's very easy to read. I wrote it on an 8th grade level, particularly and specifically, and I got big print because I want people to be able to read it. And third thing, I don't give you any financial advice in terms of invest in this or do that. I just tell you how to think. And I tell you, here is how you must think if you want to win. And here's what I learned from these wealth creators. And I tell people one more thing. What separates this book from other books? This book did not come from me. It came through me. This is God gets the glory for this book. You hear me? He gets the glory for this book. So
I think that is our time. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a rousing round of applause for Dr. Willie Jolley.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
The book is Rich is Good, Wealthy is Better. I believe you can pick up a copy on your way out.
Get copies on your way out. Now, we aren't finished yet.
No.
Someone got to sing for you.
That was your standing ovation.
Oh, yeah, that's my sing, but I got something to sing for y'all. And I'll close out with my favorite story.
Okay.
Okay, favorite story.
All right. Dr. Will, I'm going to leave this because you're about to do your thing.
All right, there we go.
Right.
Okay, your best is yet to come. I want to encourage you as you leave. Because I believe we got to encourage each other. We got to encourage each other because life is hard. Now, more so than we've seen in a long time, we got some forces that we are up against that are just tough. But I believe your best is yet to come. I was a news speaker. I had no books, no tapes, no television, no radio, no credentials to be a speaker. I was struggling to keep the lights on, struggling to keep the phones on. I'd make sales calls and people say, who are you? I ain't never heard of you before, and hang up in my face. And I get depressed and I get discouraged. Anybody got rejected before? You know that kick in the gut? And when you get discouraged, what you do is you let something take your courage. We all gonna have disappointments, but I say don't ever let somebody discourage you. Don't let them take your courage. Well, anyway, I didn't know it then, and I got discouraged. So I wouldn't make any more calls that day. Some days it take 2-3 days for me to get my dander back up. Well, one morning I got my dander up and I'm making my calls. First guy I talked to said, I like your energy. I'm having a meeting in Florida. We need an opening speaker. Are you available on such and such a date? Yeah. And here's the budget. Will that work? Yeah. He said, we'll send you a round trip ticket. Come to Florida and be good, young man. I said, yes, sir. I went to Florida and gave the speech. They gave me a standing ovation. I was ecstatic. I finished my speech, and they gave me my check. I'd never seen that much money in a check in my life. I put the check in my pocket, finished meeting and greeting people, and I went on to the airport to fly home. Got on that plane feeling good. Plane took off, I'm feeling good. Then I pulled out that check a second time to get that thrill one more time. But when I looked at the check the second time, I got depressed because I realized that money was already allocated. Anybody ever got your check before you get home, you know it's gone? I started having a pity party with myself right there, B-22. An older gentleman across the aisle must have sensed I was struggling. He struck up a conversation with me. He told me, he said, young man, how old are you? How old do you think I am? I said, maybe about 60. He said, He said, I'm 88 years old, and my best is yet to come. In that moment, everything shifted in my head. If an 88-year-old man could have the optimism to believe that his best days were in front of him and not behind him, what did I have to cry and whine about? And I went home with a new attitude. And I got on the phone, started making sales calls. And people say no, I'd say next. They say, I'm not interested in what you got, you're not the right one. Well, 30 years have gone by. I've been inducted in the Speaker Hall of Fame. I've been named one of the top 5 speakers in the world. I got best-selling books, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. And I came here to say to you today that your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. This is your day to dream big, to do the incredible, because you dreamed the impossible. I want you to leave here with a commitment that you're going to go out and change the world, because you dream and then you do. To dream the impossible dream, to fight the unbeatable foe, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to go where the brave dare not go, to right the unrightable wrong, to love pure and chaste from afar, to try when your arms are too weary, to reach the unreachable star. This is my quest. To follow that star. Follow that star. No matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to be willing to fight for the right without question or pause. To be willing to march in the hell for a heavenly cause. And I know if I only be true to this perilous quest, then my heart will lie peaceful and calm when I'm laid to my rest. Yes, yes, and the world will be better for this. Oh, that one man's gonna cover the scars. Just go where there's lost bound for courage to reach the unreachable star, to fight the unbeatable foe, to dream the impossible dream. Thank y'all for coming.